Hi everybody, and welcome to the Electronic Harassment Parent Coalition of Palm Springs, California. My name's Kevin Bond. I'm the owner of this site, and I am also your friend. I really want to help people with electronic harassment and the parents of these victims in the Palm Springs area to understand what it's really like to be followed around by this girl and her brother and their friends. And today's blog postings are a little macabre. And I just wanted to tell you guys that this isn't something that a lot of people will talk about because the threats that they go through with this girl and her brother are tremendous. But I have always believed, and I still will believe, that somebody has to throw the stone to make the ripple. Because if nobody talks about it, then nothing ever gets done. And thanks to our lovely police department and their policy of letting her get away with things, we have a situation that has grown out of control. Now, today's blog postings, if you're looking at the header, are rather comical if they weren't so serious. And I want everybody to understand that I, with great trepidation, did this story today because I know what follows from Lisa and her brother, which is pretty much what I went through the last 6 days, of nothing but screaming and yelling and torturing me relentlessly. But I want everybody to understand something. We are in a situation where we don't get any help from the police. We don't get any help from law enforcement. This girl gets to experiment on us and our sexual organs and our bodies and our minds like no other criminal has ever done in the history of criminals. And I really want you to understand that although I'm joking about some stuff, it's a very serious situation. I saw what Jonathan Mendenhall went through. I was actually in the hospital. I know what the doctor said. I know that what happened to him was retaliation for something that she wanted to have done for her. And this is something that I saw with Stephen Fry all the time. It's something that I noticed with Christopher when he wouldn't do something for her. Everybody gets punished because they refuse to do what she wants. So today's story is about making mountains out of molehills. Now I'm joking when I say that, this is the level of depravity of this girl. And you see it almost always go to a sexual level. But my understanding, and this is the understanding allegedly of the story that's going on, is this. It seems that some time ago, Lisa was being very sexual and going to the Gentleman's Club on Perez Road, which is basically, kind of a strip bar, but mostly like a gentleman's club where, girls dress kind of scantily and serve the customers food and drinks and stuff like that. No big deal. But of course, Lisa, being a not lesbian or a not lesbian anything or whatever she is attracted to a certain dancer there. Her name is Missy, and one of the things that she didn't have were large breasts. Not Missy, Lisa. And so she started talking to the bar manager, Barbara, about having implants done. And Barbara gives her usual spiel. It's really not something you should take lightly. It's something that you should really understand. It's a gradual process to go from A's to C's or D's. And this is what it looks like because Barbara had this done. I'm hoping that she won't mind me saying this because she usually is very frank about it. They cost a lot, so why not talk about it, right? So Barbara brings out her first implants, which would take her from like a B to a C or an A to a B. And then a second stage implant, both silicone, that took her from a B to a C, okay? Or from a C to a D. So you have a smaller and a twice as big silicone implants. Well, I used to work for the federal court, which did a lot of class action lawsuit litigation for breast implant manufacturers, and I know that they were mandated to take these breast implants out of these women and have them replaced with saline implants or have none at all. And I know that there were awards for, the victims of this because women were having, leaking breast implants that were getting them like toxic shock syndrome, cancer, achy joints, necrosis, A lot of things. So Barbara had hers removed, as the law required, and kept them so that she could show other girls working in the club what it's really like if you really want to make that decision. And one night she showed these to Lisa. Lisa, in her infinite criminaldom, decided that she was going to steal them. So she steals one size and then a 2-size bigger one. So she's got one of this and one of this. And you know what she did? Girl put them inside her body. She found somebody to implant under her A's a B and a C. So she's lopsided. And I guess she figured that at some point her sex slave, Jonathan Mendenhall, who is friends with Barbara, would be able to steal the matching C so they would even up. Well, Jonathan never did that. He's friendly with Barbara, and he's been friends with her for a long time. In fact, he's part of my informant team, and Barbara as well. And the agreement was, hey, look, you're not going to steal them. And he didn't want to. So after a while of not being able to steal these and being her slave, Lisa's slave, she decided she was going to punish Jonathan. And I saw this for myself. Okay, wasn't there when it happened, but I was at the hospital and I was at Jonathan's home and I saw what I saw. Somebody had taken a needle and injected into one of his testicles staph-infected blood. There's no staph infection on the scrotum sac at all, but there's infection inside of his testicle because Lisa, if you know anything about her, is very tit for tat, no pun intended. Actually, there was one, but it's not funny. Because she thought what would happen was it would deflate one of his testicles so that he would know what it was like to be her. And he better steal this other implant from Barbara so she can match up. Or something bad was going to happen to him. Well, Jonathan eventually developed a really bad staph infection on the inside of his testicles. Like, if you think about that, that's almost impossible to do because the only other way that could happen would be for the infection to go down the urethra if there was a cut on his sexual organs. Impossible to get this kind of infection deep inside of your testicle. And it was like 5 times bigger than his other testicle. I mean, it just looked the most horribly painful thing I've ever seen. And Jonathan called me to the hospital because the doctor had to cut basically the scrotum sac and go in and pack his testicle with a thread, long thread, I should say, of antibiotic soaked, like it looked like yarn kind of. And then they had to cover it back up so that he could get medicine down to that area. This is what I'm talking about. This is the saddest, most sickest thing I've ever heard of. But this is what it's like. I know that Stephen Fry was constantly experimented on. I know that living next door to him, when she was living next door to him, she would steal keys to his house, and I saw her brother inside of his house. I saw him there, and he's knocked out. Now, I didn't say anything to Stephen at the time because I wasn't really dating him, and I didn't know that this wasn't a situation that, you know, he was like involved with. But in retrospect, I know Stephen didn't know the guy was there. And I saw this guy. And Stephen would go on to later develop all kinds of problems with syphilis, 3rd stage, and other things. And he doesn't even have sex. I mean, doesn't even have friends. Doesn't want anybody around because of this girl. So we're used basically as guinea pigs for her to test out all of these little diseases on, and then she uses remote neural monitoring to watch us as we wither. And it's very, very sad. The other posting for today is about some admissions that Lisa made today during a conversation about having purchased some .22 caliber bullets while she was in the Sedona area, and saying that she had covered her tracks by not being able to trace it to her. Well, my team, by the way, has probably recovered a receipt that shows when it was purchased and probably fingerprints on the receipt. So if anybody at the police department thinks that Lisa was in Sedona, Arizona to have a conversation, I want to ask them what kind of conversation requires ammunition. The kind that doesn't happen. It's the kind that she wants, retaliation, and she wants to hurt people. I've already been Lisa, public enemy number one for 30 years of my life. And if you think I'm living out here in the desert and she's not plotting to do something to me, you're crazy. You're crazy. She's mad, and she's always been mad at me. I don't know what her problem is, but somebody has to help us. She's already gone after my boyfriend. She's gone after Anthony. She's gone after Mark. She's gone after Jonathan. She's gone after Stephen. She's gone after all my friends. And I want somebody to understand that if I don't say this to you, who's going to? Somebody had to say Jeffrey Dahmer was doing something upstairs before they'd look. Somebody has to say it, and I'm an informant for the police department, and whether they like to admit it or not, when you threw away my rape case, you threw away a great chance at stopping a monster. And this is why you never let somebody get away with something like that, no matter how bad it looks for your police department, because it can always look worse. That's the show for tonight. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. I love you, Christopher. Bye.